The Panophobium podcast is brought to you by Panophobium Haunted Home Movies, presenting productions of movies, documentaries, and other creative media. I'm your ghost host, John Alan Hulbert, and I'll be your guide to the other side, with flashlight monologues through ghost stories, family frequencies, investigative interviews, and paranormal places. In this podcast, all about haunted happenings. Do you believe in hauntings? Then let's lean in, shall we? What does it tell you when several folks have similar ghost stories dating back to the early days of a historic lighthouse? Volumes upon volumes of stories upon stories of the same ghosts at the Heceta Head Lighthouse. Could it be wild imaginations? Genuine ghosts wandering around from the other side? Whether you believe these ghost stories or not, one thing is for certain. Stories hold much power from being left behind to live beyond. In August of 2025, Kamari, Sherard, and I stayed the night at the Heceta Head Lighthouse bed and breakfast to explore the grounds and hunt for its haunting ghost stories. It's easy to find these ghost stories as there lies not only one, but two binders full of them, just inside the keeper's home. Newspaper clippings, articles, write-ups, and notes left behind by guests detailing sightings and experiences of spirits that linger the Heceta Head Lighthouse. I noticed when reading these ghost stories, the most popular and speculated about ghosts dating back to the 1950s was the spirit of a haunting, floating, gray-haired ghost lady that was allegedly one of the keeper's wives. This ghost was given her name when a group of drinking Lane Community College students played with the Ouija board in the keeper's home many years ago. They asked if there was any ghosts that resided in the Heceta Head Lighthouse, in which the Ouija board forced their hands to spell R-U-E, deeming the spirit Rue. The college students were petrified by their ghost experience, but in my hauntingly humble opinion, dabbling with Ouija boards invites quite the frightening night. While the sightings in the presence of Rue have been documented as scary and unsettling, she's also been described as a rather protective and friendly ghost. Well, friendly to an extent. I admire that she doesn't take disrespect lightly, nor should any ghosts for that matter. Many of these haunted places are ghosts' forever heavenly homes, so it's no surprise to me when they make themselves known when they feel they must. They're just checking in, saying hello, or go away, and here to remind us that this is their home. Shoes off, act right, and don't be rude, or you'll rue the day you ever upset the ever-so-haunting Rue. Many documented experiences with Rue were rather harmless, but still flooded my skin with goosebumps. One of my favorite stories I found was from a guest from just a few years ago. They had stayed the night at the keeper's house on a night that was rainy and foggy. The windows of the guest's room were fogged out with tricklings of raindrops scattered across the glass. The guests had been talking about Rue before bed, thinking of her as she is the most popular spectral resident of Heceta. The next morning, the guests woke up to writing in the foggy glass that spelled out, Rue. The writing was done from outside of the window on the second floor of the keeper's home. Not an easy climb, but a cinch for a ghost to effortlessly float up to. Many sightings of a floating Rue wandering the grounds, the keeper's home, the lighthouse, oftentimes moving furniture or screaming in mourning to the night in search of her daughter who allegedly died at the Heceta Head Lighthouse. She's a tragic character with a motherly energy that cares for the people and the land that she once stood and now floats for. Kamari, Sherard, and I both felt we may have had an experience with her during our stay. I already shared my perspective in the Heceta Head Haunted Lighthouse ghost documentary. Ladies, gentlemen, and those that don't fall under the binary, I present to you, Kamari Sherard.
Hi.
What did you think of staying at the Heceta Head Lighthouse? What was your experience like?
I had a really great experience at the Heceta Head Lighthouse. It was gorgeous. I was just so in awe by everything. The the side and how foggy and eerie and hauntingly beautiful everything was. The inside of the cottage had all this really beautiful vintage furniture, and I just felt very excited to be there.
Was there any fear at all when I invited you initially? Because I did share when I invited you that this is one of the most haunted places in Oregon.
No, I had no fear. For some reason, I just kind of assumed that whatever happened would happen, and I felt very okay knowing that I would be there with someone else. I think maybe if I was by myself, I would be a little bit nervous. But you were there.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I had you there, because beforehand I was going to go completely alone. And if I had gone alone, I don't think I would have ever left that room. So you didn't feel any sort of fear?
No, not preparing to go. Maybe a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was alone at Heceta, I felt perfectly content. I slept in that room alone, and I never felt any kind of, I don't know, malicious presence or negative energy.
Do you believe in ghosts and hauntings and things of that nature?
I do. I think that there's so many unexplainable phenomena that happen. And I also believe that if energy cannot be created or destroyed, then it has to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, there has to be some sort of energy that remains when people die.
What do you make of the experience we had at Heceta when the door slammed on us? I talked a little bit about it from my perspective for the documentary, but for the podcast, I thought it'd be fun to get your perspective. What did you make of that experience?
To be honest, I really tried to rationalize it. I was just like, must be a change in barometric pressure between our room and the hallway. Because the alternative did freak me out a bit, and I compartmentalized what happened. I remember the door slamming, and then I just said, okay, and I went to the bathroom.
You did. I remember that because, yeah, when you said, okay, and then walked away, I thought it was kind of funny and like, ooh, we experienced that together. And then you went to the bathroom and suddenly I was alone in that room. And I was like, and then I start doing the same thing where I'll try to like rationalize it in my head, where I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe it's just the wind that came through from a window that wasn't open at the time. But I was freaked out, and your reaction kind of calmed me a bit because it felt that felt like what's the word, like dismissive to the ghost, which was, I think, good in that moment. Just like, we shouldn't be scared of this. But later, when we had talked about it, were you a little like freaked out? And I guess I should ask, do you think it was a ghost?
Could have been. You did something, like you said, like you were talking about your night hike that you wanted to do to the lighthouse at 3 a.m. and you said something like 3 a.m. is...
Yeah. You
Like,
you asked me why 3 a.m. and I said it's prime time activity for ghosts.
and the door slammed immediately.
I will never forget the look on your face.
What did I look like?
You looked a little stoic, like you became a statue for a second when that door slammed. Like you froze. Your eyes were the only thing that like looked over at me. And I don't remember the face I was making. It was probably something stupid, and my jaw was dropped, and I was just like staring wide-eyed at you, like, ooh. Um, and then you
It was.
and then was it? We had both very different reactions. I felt like we had like the golden retriever black cat duo going on, of like you were the black cat that just like no reaction, and then I was the golden retriever that would have like rub, 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 rub. But I felt okay once you dismissed it. It was like you were like okay, and then walked out to go to the bathroom, because I was a little nervous about how you'd react to that. I was worried like, oh, what if she wants to leave? But it sounds like you didn't really have that type of feeling or experience. It seems like it was a relaxing time for you.
Yeah, it was. And I think even with that experience, I didn't have a negative feeling. I think if I felt like a chill or felt the hairs raise on my arms or something, it might have been different, but just normal haunted house things.
Yeah. How did it feel exploring the grounds and the lighthouse at 3 a.m?
I was with you, so I wasn't scared. I was excited. I never did anything like that before. And I typically don't really go on night hikes or anything like that. So I was just, I think the only word I can think of is I was just like excited and felt very keen to go on a little adventure.
I could sense that from you, like, tremendously. It was really fun getting footage of the lighthouse, because I did get some footage of you getting to be fascinated by the lighthouse. Like, there's a shot of you at the very end of the documentary after the credits of you just playing with the flashlight that they provided for us of the lighthouse. And it was so fun watching you be so fascinated by that beautiful little, I guess not so little, building.
I've never seen a lighthouse up close.
Me neither.
With the lights flashing.
Have you seen like other lighthouses, like inactive ones, or was that the very first one you ever saw?
I've seen inactive ones, but yeah, I've never seen an active lighthouse that close.
I guess last question is, would you ever go back to the Heceta Head Lighthouse?
Oh, totally. I want to go back so bad.
We have to go back for the sea lion caves, because we still have a receipt from when we went after Heceta Head. And they said we get in for free because there's so many sea lions now.
Yeah. I can't wait to see all the sea lions and smell all of them.
It's gonna be quite the smell. But good to know. So you would go back?
Oh, totally. I want another 6 or 7 course meal.
Oh, that's good. Can we talk about that food really quickly?
Sure.
How delicious was that breakfast?
Scale 1 to 10?
1 to 10, yeah.
25.
25. Yeah, I'd give it about the same score. I always appreciate a place that will ask about dietary restrictions. Like, I have none, but I know you do. And I loved that the staff asked you about your dietary restrictions, and then we're able to like craft your meal similar to all of ours, but just make minor adjustments. It was so cool, and it was so delicious.
Yeah, I totally thought I was just gonna get like a salad, and they were going to call it a day. And they got out this beautiful quiche.
It was so delicious. But also, that food was so stunning looking. What'd you think of Cecily the Caretaker?
Well, she had amazing style. And I loved her stories. I feel like she's so brave and truly bad for living in that basement. And all the stories that she told us, that she's definitely had some really crazy experiences, and she just lives there.
That's kind of nuts. Like, that's your job. Your job is to live on a site of a haunted lighthouse and provide guests a good bed and breakfast experience.
And that she did.
It's a crazy job, but it's also like a crazy cool job. Because she's so good at it. Like, all that food was her. Like, that whole experience was her. And the other staff, who were also wonderful. Everyone was so inviting. I think that's what I loved about it, is like, it all felt inviting. It did feel haunted, but it wasn't like super, super negative energy. It was all kind of exciting and warm and welcoming.
Yeah, everyone was so sweet.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking time to talk about the Heceta Head Lighthouse and the experience, and I'm glad that you had a good time and agreed to come with me to one of the most haunted places in Oregon. So thank you for that.
Thanks for inviting me. It was truly a Costco's dream.
Not just Rue, but many ghosts are said to gallivant the grounds of the Heceta Head Lighthouse. And who best to know than the folks that work the grounds day and night to this very day. During the stay, guests and myself got to enjoy a lovely 7-course breakfast prepared by Cecily the Caretaker of the Heceta Head Lighthouse Bed and Breakfast. It was a beautiful and charming atmosphere, with lovely music playing from a record player in the background, then filled with Cecily's personal ghost stories worthy of being part of the records. Most ghost stories are told over a campfire, or with a flashlight, but it felt fitting to be shared these spectral stories over our lovely 7-course breakfast. I present to you folks and ghosts, Cecily the Caretaker.
All right, we're rolling.
All right, so photographed over there, you'll see Jenny and her husband, who is the second assistant. When I first started working here, I learned a lot about Jenny Avery. She was from Sweden. She moved here and married this husband right here on site. They actually are the only keepers to get married right here. And so she was a very tall lady. She was 6'4", and this is the Victorian era. So that is tall, but very tall for a Victorian woman. Her husband over there, in that photo, you notice that you do not see their feet. That is because he is standing on a wooden crate to appear as tall as she is. And so the first time I was ever giving a history tour, I tell the small group of people about this feature that the husband, and at the time I couldn't remember his name, that's why I'm calling him the husband. Mm-hmm. Jenny, who I knew so much about, and her husband, who was not a short man, but a man of average height. So he's standing on a wooden crate, and you will never see his feet in any photograph because he's maintaining this image. Mm-hmm. So I tell the group, and they're laughing a little bit, and then the laughter subsided, and it was a very small group, so it was a very calm day, just kind of like it is now, a little bit of music in the background, and I start talking about something else, moving on, and a photo on the piano over there just slammed forward, and it wasn't that it fell, it smacked forward, and it startled me, so I walked over to the photo and lifted it up to make sure nothing was broken, and it says in capital letters, Frank Leroy, second assistant, and he's towering over Jenny in the photograph. So I feel that was Frank telling me, first of all, don't forget my name. I have a name. And look at me. Look how handsome and tall, So that was my first, and it was, it was not that spooky, but it was a moment where I felt like, oh, I'm sorry, Frank. I was disrespecting you. Like letting everyone know your secret, and I couldn't even remember his name at the time.
Well, now he can float as tall as he wants to.
Yeah, right? Well, so the thing is, that was the first little thing where I did feel a little bit like, okay, maybe Frank's around, and the fact that they were the only two that got married here, that could provide some reason to have more of a tie to this place. Because a lot of the other families were moving here, moving on, as we were talking about. Frank and Jenny stayed not as long as Annie and Olaf, but they were here at the same time as Annie and Olaf. So,
and me and Olaf didn't get married here?
They actually got married in Florence, so they didn't have a ceremony. They had
the reception here.
If they had a reception at all, which we don't actually have a historic record of, so I kind of doubt it, but they were just getting to know each other. They didn't have friends here. They had their son, but I think that it was quiet and just kind of yeah. But so that same week that the photo slammed forward, a few things happened. Downstairs in the basement, we have kind of our employee facility, so the office, the employee restroom, all of that. I was here with my friend Anna, who was the inn manager at the time, and we were preparing breakfast. So it was just the two of us. She was downstairs gathering some things, and she hears and sees the bathroom door. She looks over and she sees the doorknob turn, and then the door swing open. And so as it's swinging open, she's walking to the door and talking to me. We're communicating about what we're about to do. And then she realizes that no one's there. I am upstairs, and there's absolutely no one in the bathroom. But she saw the doorknob turn, and it swung open. So it didn't just kind of, like, it didn't just, there's no wind down there anyway. This is the basement. So she runs upstairs, and she's just white in the face. And that entire day, none of us wanted to go down there. That was all that happened that day, but throughout, that was just a couple days after the photograph slamming forward. And then a few things that really frightened me, the blender turned itself on. When nothing was in the blender but the wand, the little plastic stick, and it was just going around, and it was like, it seemed impossible to turn this blender off. That was scary. I feel like that was going too far. That was not like the playfulness of Rue.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a little bit of anger.
From Frank.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps. It's all speculation. But the other thing that happened was a whole pot of simple syrup caught on fire, which is not very typical. It can happen, but it was just a simple syrup, so it was just, this can happen. It's sugar, a little bit of alcohol. It's wine. Mm-hmm. It was a white wine for a Pinot Gris fruit cocktail. So it was a little white wine, sugar, and water. But it was low temperature, and I've made it a million times, and it's never caught on fire. And it was a huge flame. And the last thing that happened was, and so of course some of this could be human error. I don't have any recollection of touching that blender, and it was going. And then, the simple syrup could have been my fault. But the next thing that happened was my oven downstairs, which is a gas oven. I came home to it being turned on, and I definitely did not turn it on.
That's not good. Frank is mad.
I know, Frank was so mad. But
That all happened in 1 week?
Yeah, this was within
1 week.
It was all one weird week, and nothing like that has happened since.
Well, that's because you will never forget his name.
That's right. I always introduce him in style, and I give him praise,
Yeah.
The very handsome, very tall Frank.
Debonair.
Dash. So those are my ghost
Sorry,
stories.
Wow.
Wow.
Crazy. I'm terrified. I'm kind of glad I haven't seen anything.
but I really want to, but I don't. So I'm like, well, I work here, I don't want to scare it work.
Right. Yeah. I haven't seen anything. The other thing though would be when I first moved in as caretaker, like before my cats and before my boyfriend arrived. So I was here alone. That night, I didn't see anything, but I could not shake this image of an older lady just kind of staring, not doing anything other than staring, and it was very much like, yeah, just like, what are you doing here? But again, it was more of an image in my mind that I just couldn't shake. It was every time I closed my eyes.
Did you ever find a picture?
Happened once in Charleston at this old inn, and they were like, it's haunted, and it was so like muggy and humid, and we couldn't sleep. And every time I closed my eyes, I really felt like there was this woman just standing there like this, and I was like, and then I opened my eyes and it was gone, but every time I closed my eyes, it was right back there, and I was like, oh, is this just something in my head?
Yeah, but the fact that you can't shake it.
And it was just a creepy feeling.
Yeah, almost more of a feeling.
So have you tried to go through the albums to see if you can find somebody like kind of resembles that figure?
You know, it's really weird. So I have met 3 of the great-great-granddaughters of Annie and Olaf. And one of the youngest granddaughter, who was in her upper 50s, but the youngest of the great-great-granddaughters of Annie and Olaf looks exactly like the woman that
Would still
Yeah, it's interesting because it obviously wasn't that woman, but it could be that. It could be
from that lineage.
Annie.
Yeah.
I mean, could have been Annie. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She was like the one for one though. Like, that's the face.
Yeah.
Wow. So do they all live local, or are they as well?
No, none of them live locally, but they visit here. Annie and Olaf's great-great-grandchildren. They have provided a few items from Annie and Olaf. So in that cabinet over there, in the little hutch that is, you'll see a platter. That was Annie's bacon platter. So serving bacon here is totally historical. Annie apparently would cook not just bacon, but she would make bacon biscuits every single morning, and she would serve it on that platter to her kids every morning. So,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and that made its way to the great-great-grandkids, and they thought it belonged here.
I love the teapot. The painting. That's really pretty.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not historical, but it's really pretty.
Yeah, may or may not be.
Wow.
Are you staying a second night?
No, I work tomorrow, but we are adventuring around today. I take her back to Portland, and then I'll go back to Redmond. But got a lot to edit now, which will be a lot of fun. Thank you so much. What was your name again?
Cecily.
Cecily. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah.
Cecily, along with the rest of the staff and guests, were so warm and inviting, even with haunting ghost stories over breakfast. How can a place so historically haunting also be so welcoming? I guess the best way for you to find out is to book a visit for yourself. Who knows? Maybe you'll experience a ghost story for your own to be added to the books. Just be sure to leave behind the Ouija board. Rue understandably doesn't like that very much. I wanted to take a moment to give a special thanks and shout out to Helen Thea Marcus, aka Thea Wave, for working with me to produce the haunting siren song you heard in the background of this episode. Helen Thea's music can be heard in a couple of documentaries I've made about haunting places. Her other music can be heard online. Follow her on Instagram at TheaWave_official to learn more of her journey in artwork. Be sure to give her some love, just as she did for her work on these projects for me. Next time on the Panophobium podcast, my first ever interview with my guest ghost host, my mom, as we discuss Albert, the very first ghost we ever saw, and dive deeper into our family frequencies with the paranormal. Thank you for listening. Lean into fear.